So when you say you run the credit on the facility, you're able to see, hey, this facility's had problems in the
Yeah,
past.
and that's a super easy process. We get a lot of questions from clients about how running credit works and if we need to reach out to their facility to get information to run credit. And it's actually really easy. We can do it super fast. We just need the name of the facility and the facility's address, and we can run credit on them and just make sure everything looks good as far as that goes.
And we don't charge anything to run those credit reports. We consider that an added value for our clients. So, I mean, there's days that we run numerous credit reports and then kind of help our clients decide which is the best facility maybe to kind of go after. I just think that's a really great idea. We really encourage our clients to reach out to us before they sign a contract, just to make sure that it's going to be a facility that we can fund for them, and also that that's going to be one that pays well enough.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I think that's important because you want to avoid as much as you can in that process. Um, I have two other questions, but if you guys have questions, again, this is Shamika with the NOSA Group here, hanging out with American Funding, and we're talking about everything payroll, invoice factoring, and funding. So if you have some questions, whether you're not in the healthcare staffing field or not, because I think you guys work in other industries, feel free to drop your questions below.
I see a couple good ones. So someone asked, what if I don't have good credit? That's totally fine. We don't run credit on our clients, just the facilities. So if you don't have good credit, don't worry about that. And then you don't have to factor every invoice. We're really flexible as far as what our clients want to fund. So some clients will just fund some facilities and not others. Or they'll just fund anywhere from every day to every few months, just whenever they need us. So we're pretty flexible as far as that goes.
As an example, we have one agency that only funds the larger invoices. So anything that's over $3,000, then we'll fund that for her. But if it's smaller, she wants to cover those herself. And I can't stress how flexible we can be. And we want it to make sense for the agency, and there's no sense in factoring everything if you don't need it. So we can just kind of pick and choose and make it as easy and as simple as possible while still helping. Because when you think about that, let's say they have 5 facilities. If they only factored 3 of them, that might be enough to help them with their cash flow instead of having to factor all 5. So whatever makes sense.
And unlike other factoring companies, we don't have any minimums. So, like I said, sometimes they just fund every couple months. And then sometimes they'll want to fund every week. So totally fine. Whatever works best for our client works for us. So, and then I see another question too. So you help verify that clients are safe to work with. Yeah, so we do everything we can to make sure that you're taking on, facilities that are going to be, good payers and easy to work with. So of course, we can't guarantee at the end of the day that there won't be, payment issues, but we do everything we can to make sure that there is at least not a history of payment issues and they're good to work with and everything.
So the last 2 questions I have here coming up on the Facebook group is, how long from the time that you submit an invoice for payment does the actual staffing agency receive any sort of payment?
Yeah, so once you're all set up and funding with us, you send your invoice into us. As long as it's received before 2 Central Time, that money is going to hit your account the next business day. So usually that next morning is when you'll get that advance. So it's really quick. And if our clients ever do need a same day advance, we offer that as well. So
typically next day, but you can do same day if
it's ever needed. Yeah.
Okay. And my last question, and I'm sure some more will come in as we're chatting, is around, so if I'm an agency owner and I'm established and now I want to kind of transition out of full-time funding, or I need more funding than is available. I know I met a couple of people when we were at Staffing World the other year. Do you guys partner with other people to help people who may have maybe government contracts or bigger contracts make that transition to provide more of your traditional types of funding through banks or credit unions.
I'm not quite sure I understood the question. So like getting out, like branching out into different types of industries outside of just like medical staffing.
Or more so branching out in the sense that they don't need factoring anymore.
Right. More of branching out. They feel like, hey, we're in a good place. We want to move into a traditional loan. Do you guys, or in general, do you guys partner with other banking institutions that help people transition into more, traditional loan settings versus funding?
Gotcha. So what we've seen in the past is usually wherever they're currently banking, because they've built that relationship, with their existing bank, that's traditionally where they would go. But being in our industry, obviously we do know of several banks that are small business friendly, and we'd be happy to make referrals and that kind of thing. If they're banking at like a really large bank, like a Bank of America or a Wells Fargo, it could be a little more challenging maybe to get a line of credit. So we can definitely make referrals to some of our banking partners that we have. We do fund clients nationwide. So we may not know all the little small community banks in every area, but we do definitely know of some banks that are small business friendly.
Okay. And I saw one more question, Kim, and this question was about how do you provide any sort of assistance for staffing agencies, NOSAs, who are interested in leaving their current funding company?
Yeah, so that's something that has happened before. If we have someone reach out to us who's currently with another factoring company that they're wanting to leave. So as long as there's not, a long-term contract that they're locked into, that's definitely something that we can help with.
And I think we probably should answer, since that question came up, the question around, can you work with two factoring companies at the same time?
Yeah, we just talked about that yesterday. So clients cannot work with two factoring companies at the same time. So I know that can get kind of tricky, if there's, sometimes I think that comes up most often when there's a couple customers that they weren't able to get credit qualified. So then, people will say, well, can I fund these customers with you guys and these customers with another factoring company? And that's not something that is an option, just because the notice of assignment that we talked about, the receivables are assigned to that original factoring company. I think that's the best way to explain it, probably. So we got a question about that. UCC is this way. Yeah, exactly. So any factoring company that funds receivables is going to file a UCC. And so, that's kind of what I was explaining. The receivables belong to that factoring company.
I see another question asking, is it hard to switch factoring companies? I guess it just depends. That seems like it's more situational.
Yeah, as long as you're, like I said, as long as you're not locked into a long-term contract with your current factoring company, it's typically not difficult, especially if you don't have, really past due invoices, like 90-day plus invoices with them. If invoices are up to date and there's no long-term contract in place, then typically it's a pretty easy transition.